Good evening, everybody. I'd like to take this opportunity to call the February 2017 meeting of the Lake Forest Parks and Recreation Commission order, and let the record indicate all commissioners are present. And if you all would please rise, I'd like to ask Commissioner Barras to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. At this time of the meeting, members of the public will have the opportunity to talk to the Commission about any subject on and off the agenda that is within our jurisdiction. Please be advised, no action can be taken based on the input that is heard tonight. When you do come up, if there are public comments, there's a 3-minute time period. There's a little timer up there. Green light when you start, and when a yellow light comes on, you have about a minute to finish your remarks. And when the red light comes on, we ask at that time that you just conclude them and go on. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comments?
We do. Okay, first is Michael Voss. Then there's Kenton Betcher. Then a gentleman would like to speak about pickleball.
Okay.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present our case and just to chat to you guys for a moment. My name is Michael Voss, and I'm a parent of 5 children, and 3 of which are currently in the school district here in Lake Forest. Also a coach, and I'm joined here with some of the parents and committee members and coaches from our cricket organization. So we have we started the Southern California Youth Cricket Academy a few years back. It's a non-profit organization with volunteer coaches, and our team basically we practice twice a week, Wednesdays and Sundays, and at the moment we've got about 30 to 40 players, both girls and boys, and aged basically 6 to 15. Now the reason we're here is our permit was recently put on hold status as we cut the grass. And I'd like to just step back a moment and just sort of explain how we got there. We've had permits over the last 2 years or so, and have been using the Lake Forest Sports Park on Wednesdays and Foothill Ranch Community Park on Sundays. And in that time, we've been cutting the grass at the Foothill Ranch Community Park, cutting the grass for a pitch surface, which basically allows us it allows the pitch to be more predictable bounce, and the kids to be safer. In that period, that's 2 years or so, we've not had one complaint, and there's been no damage to the fields. And we've had various matches where we've invited touring teams from Northern California, San Diego, and we're looking out of state as well. And at times we've had almost 100 people attend these multi-team events. All of the people needed accommodation and stayed in the local hotels, ate at the local restaurants. We got our catering from the local restaurants. So we feel we're bringing some commerce and interest to the local community as well. And basically, given that we had been cutting the grass over the last 2 years, we recently were asked to move to the Tamarisk field from Lake Forest because of a clash with the soccer program. And again, given that we'd been cutting the grass and there hadn't been a problem, we went ahead and cut the grass in order to practice. Yes, we shouldn't have done that, and we apologize for doing so. And in retrospect, should have spent more time asking for permission and working with the relevant people. So basically what we're asking is that you help us to restore the permit from hold condition or hold status so that we can continue the program. And we also ask that we be able to cut the grass in order to facilitate matches, or at the very least try and work and find an amicable solution with the fields department. We think we've been good stewards and partners in using the facilities, and we've been able to provide an opportunity for many children. And as things grow, the plan is for to bring it possibly into the schools and to grow the program further.
Could I ask you to conclude your comments, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're asking, we wanted to bring the matter to your attention, and we'd ask for help in restoring our status from the current hold status. Thank you very much.
Could I ask you a quick question? Maybe a couple? Obviously, there are administrative policies and things like that that the Commission nor the Council really makes decisions on. We are kind of an advisory position. You kind of touched on the area of doing this, and you also touched on the area of having asked about being able to do it, to cut the grass. Did I understand that correctly, or?
No, we are in the process. Well, we were in the process of trying to see if we could get permission at Lake Forest Sports Park for a different program, but we hadn't asked for permission at Foothill Ranch Community Park, but had been cutting the grass and preparing the pitch
On
area
your own?
On our own,
Without asking for permission?
without asking for permission. We'd been doing that over the last 2 years.
Okay. Anywhere along the line that you did ask for permission?
No, we didn't ask permission, and
At
we
the
weren't
sports park, no?
at the sports park. Not that I'm aware of for the youth program. No,
And you cut the grass there as well?
not at the sports park. We practice at the sports park, but we play the matches that we were playing. Where we were playing against other teams. We were playing that at Foothill Ranch Community Park.
Okay, so, again, to try to understand this correctly, you didn't do anything at sports park. We're talking primarily about your activities at Foothill Ranch Park and Tamarisk.
I don't believe Foothill Ranch Community Park ever came up as being an issue. It's only when we moved over to Tamarisk that someone noticed and complained, and it was just the one time.
Okay, but you're telling us that you kind of did this on your own. You never, at any given time, talked to anybody on staff or asked for permission
No, I don't believe we did, no.
until this incident happened
Yes.
and somebody told you to stop, or?
No, we were told that our permit was now in hold status, and that it would be reviewed, and we would. The problem, though, is that we've got nowhere to go with our program. Parents can't just drop off their children. For example, we had a practice on last night. The parents dropped off their children at one place. We couldn't practice there, and so we had some children being taken over to other areas, and then parents start looking for the children, and so it became a bit of a
Okay,
nightmare.
let me reiterate the one question that is somewhat, I think, critical here. The fact is, your organization, not maybe you yourself or somebody in your organization, never spoke with anybody on city staff. This is the first this group has heard about this.
Yeah.
From you. You've never spoken to anybody about city staff to ask for permission or to see if it would be okay to cut the grass.
So, with your permission, can I clarify that? There are two organizations. One is Orange County Cricket Association. Other one is Southern California Youth Cricket Academy. Orange County Cricket. On behalf of Orange County Cricket Association, I asked two questions to Public Works. One is for the adult league to cut grass in Lake Forest Sports Park, but it was denied. So,
Okay?
because
So you were told no.
reason we
But
are
that
not
was for
having
the
that
adult program. It was separate.
And
That's a separate
the
program.
second question was to have storage for youth program.
Okay, no, all we're interested in is the issue that Michael raised about the grass. And I guess there's a policy in place that it's basically a no on users cutting grass, maintaining fields, doing whatever. And that's not only in Lake Forest, but pretty much anywhere you go on city-owned property. And I just kind of find it hard to believe that here we have another gentleman, we had the idea that said, we asked, they told us no, so obviously it wasn't done. And then the assumption being on your part that you could go to another facility and do this?
No, the sequence is not how it happened. We'd been cutting the grass over the last 2 years
Okay.
at the Lake Forest.
Again,
No,
we're gonna spin around like a saucer.
And I don't want to spin. I'm just letting you know that conversation happened only a few months ago, recently, and is completely separate from what we were doing.
Okay, let me then zero in, if I may, on hopefully getting this right. Your activities, which were youth, involved Tamarisk Park. Before that
On
foothill,
one occasion, yes.
before that Foothill Ranch Park, nowhere along the line did you ever ask city staff for permission.
No,
You've not spoken to anybody.
no, I
Okay.
have not.
All right, well, thank you for your comments, and we will obviously talk to staff to see what, that side is, and, for the present time, it's a staff administrative policy and decision which lies with the staff.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you very
Thank
much
you
for your
very
time.
much.
Kenton Betcher.
Hello and good evening. I'm Kenton Betcher. I live in Lake Forest. And I'm here tonight just to give you an update of some of the things Lake Forest Garden Club is doing at the request of Mr. Scheer, or Commissioner Scheer. At the 25th anniversary, our little booth was next to the Historical Society, and we got talking about Heritage Hills Park and things, and we thought, it's a county facility, so Mr. Scheer was kind enough to put us in touch with Bradley Flint, who is I think he has 5 parks within the county system. And then I'll touch on a little bit later, within the 3 minutes, El Toro Water Company, I'm in Irvine Ranch, came up and said, would you mind partnering with us for a demonstration garden, blah, blah, blah. He said, get back to us. Anyway, Heritage Hill, we met with Bradley, who was extremely open to doing a beautification from a historical perspective of Heritage Hills. And so we went through and talked about the rose garden in front of the Bennett House, which is in sad shape, and doing kitchen gardens where some of the orange trees are. Some of the orange trees have passed on, replacing those. The cactus in front of the adobe garden, which isn't really, people didn't have cactus gardens 100 years ago. And they sure didn't have fire finger stick plants in front of their house. So that'll probably be removed. And then we had touched on, in the Native American section, a garden using native medicinal plants and herbs. But I think the Eagle Scouts are doing that, but we're offering to help. So the 21st of next week is our first project. We're going to go prune all of the roses, and some are going to be replaced. Some of them have historical significance, and we're going to nurse them along. They've been there for 80 years. They're not in good health, but we're going to see if we can bring them back. Some will be removed. And so 9 o'clock next Tuesday will be our first project with them. And so we've been very, very happy with the openness there. El Toro Water they're taking the front of their building, and the green area, and doing a demonstration garden. Their primary purpose is educational, to show what you can do when you take out your lawn to save water. And our role, as it looks at this moment, will be to provide signage and names for the plants, and then possibly provide docents to take tours through. They want to emphasize it's not a park. It's a demonstration. You walk through, learn, and leave. So that's where we're at. And then there's a lot of other volunteer opportunities coming along. The state park system. I work at Crystal Cove, and it turns out that a third of my crew taking care of the historical district are from Lake Forest. So that's another one. And so we're coming along, and I just want to bring you up to date of some of the fun things that are happening.
Thank you, Kenton.
John Zuko.
Hi everyone, my name is John Zuko and I'm a resident of Lake Forest and have been for 33 plus years. I'm up here tonight, and thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm up here tonight mainly to promote pickleball to the community. And pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the United States right now, and I've got a group of people back here that are pickleball players. But all of us are pickleball players that are working through local homeowners associations as opposed to public facilities. And I'm currently working right now with Lisa, and I met Scott for the first time, but we've communicated by email, and promoting the sport on some of the public facilities that are here in the city. Particularly, there's a large number of tennis courts which were built in the 70s and 80s when tennis was at its peak, and are now many of them being underutilized, shall we say. And they're ideal to convert over to a pickleball. One tennis court, for instance, can be converted over to 4 pickleball courts really relatively easily and inexpensively, and that's important. This is, like I said, is the fastest growing sport in the country. It's a family-friendly sport. And working with Lisa here now, I understand that the city is going to be starting to play pickleball up at the sports park inside, where the basketball courts and volleyball courts are. But they're only going to be able to play on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings. Now, that's a start, obviously, and we appreciate that. But when you think about most of the people in our community, they're either working or going to school. And that's great for retired folks such as myself, but it doesn't really help the people the bulk of the people in the community. So we're trying to encourage the city here, if we can, to utilize some of these tennis courts, which are underutilized right now, and maybe they're easily converted over. Lines can be just put down, painted down, or they can just be taped down. And courts, nets, and things like that that convert them over are just basically $300 or $400, and you're up and running. So, I mean, I'm here tonight on behalf of the community to go ahead and promote this sport as much as I can, because I think it's great for the community and for everyone involved, and the people that play it. It's a friendly, fun sport, good activity. We're jovial, we laugh, we tease, we joke, and we get a lot of exercise while we're doing all this good stuff. So anyway, that's what I wanted to promote tonight. So my name is John. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your comments, Sue.
That's the only ones I have.
Okay, thank you. All right. Presentations are monthly presentations from the ACT group, teens. Who's the designated speaker this month?
Hello, my name is J.D. Obirik, and it is a pleasure to be here representing Lake Forest Advisory Committee for Teens. I am here to update the Parks and Recreation Commission about what the Advisory Committee for Teens has been working on this past month. We have continued working on our ERF initiative by helping clean the sports park at least once a month during the ACT meeting. In addition, we chose the crafts to do at Lake Forest Annual Snowfest. We volunteered at Snowfest and ran the craft station, helped out on the snow hill, aided with line control, and assisted in various other tasks. We are currently working on the spring crafts for the craft stations and will be at Bunny Blast and the Special Needs Resource Fair. Also, we have been researching potential community service projects that can help our local community and those in need. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And again, as we almost say every month, we appreciate everything you do, and great, I think it's a great thing to step forward and do that. How many in the group, just raise your hand, are part of? And then sitting behind you is the Uber or Lyft part that brought you here, or, just kidding. Just kidding. There's one in the middle there. And parents, thank you too for supporting them, and it's a really, really great cause to see young people out there helping and volunteering. Okay. Consent calendar. We'll start with the minutes of the regular meeting from last month. Are there any comments or?
Yes. In my commissioner comments, I also, if you don't mind adding this, because I know I said it, in regards to the calendar, our annual calendar, to put the names of the parks on the pictures, where they're from. Does that make sense? Huh? No, in our annual calendar.
You mean when we publish the pictures to put the name of the park?
That is
The max,
yes.
yeah.
I said it much better last month.
I did forward that recommendation,
Oh, good.
but we didn't put it in the minutes, but we'll add that.
I would like that.
We'll add
Because
that,
I
okay.
want it, just that way I can say, I did that.
I'll add that.
Either that or we could have a contest to name the park after the calendar came out, so. Sorry.
Okay, anyway, that was my only comment on that one, so I guess it's
Anybody else? I have one question, which goes back to Bill Berry's comments, and it may have just gone over my head, but it's at the end where it says, Mr. Berry noted that there are also walk-on groups over which staff has no control. I understand any park, typically you have walk-on groups. I know that a while back, the concept, and this goes all the way back when Heroes Park was the cat's meow of our facilities, that there were like, quote, staff ambassadors, I think was the title given to them, and that primarily user groups could call in and action would be taken. And I'm thinking also at the sports park, typically there's staff there, that there should be some modicum of control over these walk-ons.
At the sports park, we have the field ambassadors that regularly patrol the fields, and then, they can monitor and see which groups have permits, which ones are walk-ons, and kind of evaluate that way. But for the most part, at any other park, it's kind of a free-for-all.
No, okay. So is he more referring to the other scattered parks that they get information?
Yeah.
We
That's
try
the-
to get on there, we may have permit, and
Right,
there's
exactly.
a group of locals.
Just, yeah,
Okay.
a pickup game or a pickup group.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense, because it was like, so much was directed at the sports park during that whole presentation and everything. It was kind of like, didn't make sense to me. Thank you. Okay, if there is no other comments or questions, could I hear a motion to approve, please? I'll second it. All in favor? All opposed? Vote, please. Should. Okay. Then our next item related to minutes are the minutes of the special meeting on February 3rd in connection with park visits to Cherry Park, Darren Park, and Pebble Creek Park. Are there any for those who were there? Okay. Again, one quick question. A member of the public attended all three. Is that a notable?
That's a good question. I specifically asked that question of the clerk. It actually should not be minuted because he didn't actually speak during public comment. But he was present for the tours.
Just wanted to, he's occupied right now, but give him credit for hanging out with us for the time. All right. In that case, again, could I hear a motion, please, to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I'll second it. Okay. Hit the buttons, folks.
Should I abstain?
Yeah, you can. You weren't here, you didn't attend it, you can abstain. It's fine.
I will abstain then, to be official.
We have someone who hasn't voted.
Did my abstain? It's yellow.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's an abstain button.
I did push it. Did it work?
We can do it by show of hands, too.
Yeah, let's do show of hands because...
Modern technology. All in favor, raise your hand.
I'm abstaining.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? People who weren't there. 3 yea, 2 abstentions. Okay? Then one last note regarding park visits. In the packets were information maps with little arrows where to turn on each street corner and that for the park meetings for tomorrow, which, as everybody hopefully knows, have been canceled due to the supposed inclement weather that's going to hit sometime. Sure.
Oh, it's going to happen.
Okay. So instead, we will meet and fill sandbags and look for volunteers to help us. Okay. Thank you. All right. Discussion items. Beginning of each year, or right after the beginning of it, we go through the selection of a chair and vice chair for the ensuing year. And at this time, I would like to open the nominations for the chair for the ensuing year. Hearing nothing, I will nominate Loretta Aaron.
Thank you.
Quite welcome.
I second Loretta.
Thank you.
Any other nominations? We'll close the nominations, and we will now hit the button, cast the vote. Por favor.
I hope it's unanimous. Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Now that we have all this practice in doing this, we will proceed with the nomination and selection of the vice chair. Hearing nothing again, one person who seems to be alive tonight, I will nominate Victor Scher.
Second.
Okay, any other nominations? Hearing none, we will close it, and I ask that everybody cast their vote, please.
My cold must be getting my way. Jumping.
Both of you on that side are like coughing and hacking, and I'm going to move closer this way, okay? Well, you have sick ones at home, so. True, that's good. That's very true. All right. Okay, thank you guys. Congratulations. And we will roll on. All right. I think, Monique, this is going to be your time now. The opportunity to have a different part of the program come and give us some vital data, talk about the recreation classes and special events. Scott, or is there anything you or Vicki or Laura would like to say as introduction to Monique? And
Here's Monique. Now, we would like to introduce Monique. I think Monique spoke a few months ago. I know you spoke on different programs that you oversee, so this time you're going to present something a little bit different from the last time. Monique is one of our 3 full-time supervisors at the sports park. That's the primary, it's the city's flagship facility. That's the location where we've experienced the greatest growth in our programs, in our attendance, in our revenue. And Monique is a huge part of that. She oversees the youth programs and also contract classes, and in her spare time, a few special events. So I'll turn it over to Monique Villasenor.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. I presented you guys a while back on some of, on our camps, and I don't know why it's not moving.
Monique was born and raised in Orange County.
Of 13 children. Let's see if I can shut it. I am the youngest of 12. Okay. That is a fact. Let's see.
Can I make a recommendation? If you'd like, we can come back to this.
Yeah.
And okay, then we can, if it would please the chair and the commission, then we can move on to item 6.
We're going to do the rec report.
We're going to move to item 6. Okay. The Vicki and Laura, or Laura and Vicki show.
Yeah.
We're going in reverse alphabetical order tonight on names.
Yeah, no particular order. I just figured I would go. I have the least amount of information. Vicki actually steals the show for tonight. So
Vicki's still preparing. We understand.
She has a lot to talk about. But I wanted to piggyback on our friends for pickleball. We are doing a pickleball demonstration. Mark your calendars for April 22nd. That will be held at Pittsford Park from 10 until 12, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We are taking a registration, which is already full at 25 with a couple on the waiting list. Staff is going to be assisting the nice gentleman that spoke along with one of the other gentlemen that was here. And they're going to assist Bill and I in producing a demonstration for the community.
Laura,
So basically,
excuse me,
yes.
Can you just repeat the time again?
10 to 12.
10 to 12.
April 22nd, Saturday, Pittsford Park, and we'll be reserving 2 courts, which will create quite a bit of activity. So we'll have supplies there, so if you want to join us and you do not have a paddle, we will have paddles, and we'll provide instructions. So that's pretty exciting. We have that going on. Like he mentioned, we are starting our open gym pickleball program, which will begin in March, so that'll start in the spring. In your brochure, you'll find that information. It'll be, like he said, Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, and we wanted to try it from 8:30 to 10:30. We thought we were reaching the ideal audience for that sport. I have not received any feedback from anybody younger than that era of people wanting to play, so we figured if we reached out and made it available at that time, that's the audience that we'd have. We really don't have that much open gym time, so we wanted to create and carve out a piece of time for them, and we may adjust that later if we're able to do so, or maybe create space for them outside. But for now, that's what we have, and we'll see what the interest is, because we haven't really had an overwhelming amount of interest for pickleball, but we're going to do what we can to please those people. As you may know, I'm just going to highlight really quick the Pet Expo that's supposed to be on Saturday. That has been postponed, not canceled. It's rescheduled. It'll be March 11th, but if you're interested in seeing the author of A Dog's Purpose, he's still willing to come, and he's going to be doing his book signing on Saturday. So he's really adamant about still being a part of the event because he can't attend on March 11th. Okay. So I will be there at the sports park. It'll be his presentation will be from 10:30 to about 11, and he'll be doing a book signing until 2 o'clock. So that'll be taking place on Saturday, even though the rest of the event will be postponed until March 11th. Status quo with all the projects and things that we have going on at the sports park. And Monique, I wanted to have her highlight everything that's gone on within this short period of time. And are you set? Okay, and take it away.
There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about a few things that we did during this last season of winter. Of course, you all know that we do plenty of programs and classes all the time, but I'm just going to highlight two of the big ones that we did this past winter, starting with our winter camps. So they kind of run similar to our summer camps, and they're just short during the 2 weeks of winter break that the Saddleback Valley does. And again, we do a holiday hoopla camp, which many years ago it just used to be a one-day event, and we turned it into a whole week's worth of camp. So, and that's for ages 7 to 10, and we do a max of 25 kids during that week. Our winter break adventure camp we call it our preteen teen camp for ages 11 to 14. They do some of the similar stuff, and that serves ages 11 to 14, and we accept 20 kids per week. 1 week we did have a wait list that we were able to accommodate 3 extra kids that week due to we had a little bit wiggle room with bus room and staff, so we accepted them. So sold out camps and beyond. So it was great. The holiday hoopla camp. It went Monday through Friday. This year, it always depends on where the holiday lands, the Christmas holiday and the New Year's holiday lands. This year, we were able to do 2 full weeks of camp. So they run 7:30 to 6. And again, we accommodate for the parents who start work at 8, so that's why we open it up to 7:30 before the rec center opens. We do lots of holiday-themed ideas and crafts just to kind of get in the spirit of the season. Pizza parties at the end of the week are always a big hit. So these are just some of a few fun pictures of toilet paper snowman making. We always go on some fun excursions, 2 during the week. This is just some pictures of we went to the Queen Mary Chill event. It's the first time we've ever gone to that excursion in Long Beach, and the kids had a really good time. There was like ice sledding and kind of ice sculptures, so they had a good time. We also went to the LA Zoo. We like to go to the LA Zoo in the winter because even on their website they say when it's cold or rainy, some of the animals are more active. So we like to do that trip during the winter. Our winter break adventure, kind of similar in nature to the holiday hoopla camp. Same thing, Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 6. Also do holiday crafts and movies. They just have a little bit more, leniency with kind of the older adult games where they do, more intense dodgeball games in the gym. But right there you see them making, they don't do gingerbread houses, they do graham cracker houses. And then in the lower left they do, if you ever seen the movie Elf, he makes elf spaghetti. So they had a fun time doing that. And if you know anything, it's not really like traditional spaghetti. More of the fun excursions here. We share the bus, so we go on all the same excursions of the holiday hoopla, and these are just some of the kids having a good time. Now, on to Snowfest. I've had the privilege of taking on some of the bigger special events here in Lake Forest. I love doing them. I think they're just amazing, and so this one was Snowfest, Saturday, January 28th, 2017. We stuck with the Star Wars theme. If you know, that's kind of been a tradition with our event. So we brought in over 100 tons of snow this year. It was a record for Lake Forest. Last year we did 95, I believe. And I think that we actually ended up doing 105 tons because they gave us a little bit more on our hill and a little bit extra in our snow play areas, which is the largest snow day in Orange County. Our snow vendor was a brand new snow vendor this year, and he told me that City of Fullerton did 95, which what we did last year. So technically now we really are. I think they were trying to shoot for the largest in OC, but really with us up in the ante with snow, I think that still remains our title. This year we added an additional snow play area. Last year we only had one in previous years, so we added the 2 different sections and we separated them by age groups. Again, we had food, crafts, games, rides, and entertainment. We had approximately 3,000 people attended the event. We sold wristbands that you were able to do rides and games and face painting and balloon artists all in one with just the one wristband, which we've never done before. So that turned out to be really successful. Obviously, you heard from our ACT kids that this event, like many of our other events, really depends on a lot of our volunteers, and so they do an excellent job running the hill, running the lines, the craft station. So, we always like to thank our key clubs, our churches, the ACT, the Kiwanis, who sells food, the Sheriff's Explorers and the Stars. They all have a huge hand in making that event successful. For Snowfest, we did a pre-sale at the sports park for sledding wristbands, and we sold approximately 1,500 wristbands for people to sled down our historic Mount Pittsford. "25 tons of snow for 2 snow play areas for ages 10 and under." That was one of the biggest feedbacks that we got from last year, was that we only had a snow play area for ages 5 and under. And so when we sold out for sledding, we had some older kids, 7, 8 years old with their parents, and their parents said, well, what can I do? I can't play in any snow. And so that was some of the biggest feedback that we got, so that's why we decided to add the additional snow play area. And from what I've heard, it turned out to be a great addition, and everybody seemed to be very happy. Like always, we have character appearances and a Frozen performance. The character appearances, this year we were able to get actual Star Wars characters. I'm not a Star Wars person, but I got in touch with a actual Star Wars, costuming group, and they're an official group called the Rebel Legion. And they're the good guys, and we worked with another group called the 501st, which are the bad guys from Star Wars apparently, and they have criteria for meeting their costuming, where they post it and then they accept you into their group. And so they're all a volunteer group, and we reached out to them, and they were able to provide volunteers that dressed up as the Star Wars characters. Our Frozen princesses performed as always. They did 2 different performances, and we do it big. We, might as well be a Disney spectacular, and we do it with confetti, and it was a good time, and the kids always really loved that part. And these are just some pictures from the whole event, and we look forward to doing it next year. And that's it.
Good presentation. Thank you. Any questions, anybody? Comments?
No, very impressive.
Thank you, Monique. And we appreciate seeing all the little things that, we know there's camps going on, we know that, but seeing some of the excursions that are planned and some of the actual activities, I think it goes without saying, it's pretty obvious why these events are sold out, because it's not just kind of having organized babysitting, but there's actually the kids enjoy doing or enjoy seeing. The word spreads and they want to come. So just again, I'm not a Star Wars, I get them and Star Trek confused all the time. Good point. He laughs, Okay. Remember John Wayne? No, I'm just kidding. Chewbacca, was he a Star Wars, or was he? Yeah. Star Wars. Okay. I don't know, maybe for next year.
He couldn't make it this year. Yeah, we tried, but he couldn't make it.
Is it the one that we've used a long time ago? Who's from San Diego?
So it took a lot of researching, but there's really only about three guys in all of, I guess you wouldn't say Central and Southern California that do this and have the real life costume and the sound effects.
Yeah, this one was
and they're pretty booked up throughout the year. So
he was actually understudy for the character, and he was in the movie as the understudy for him and did some of the roles. But maybe it might be worth seeing, again, budget and whatever, to book him or try to book him now for next year, because you're right, they do get booked up, and it's still a novelty. And so, but he's always, when he's at events, and I've seen him at a number of things, I've used him for some other events, and he's very good, and the kids love him. It's like they gravitate towards him. But no, a great event again this year, and thanks for taking on a little bit more and more, right? Shoulder pads to support it. Thank you, Monique. Appreciate it. Okay, part 2 of the recreation report, coming back to Vicki.
So I had a couple updates in regards to the seniors program. This time, for a mini excursion, I thought this was really cool that they took the seniors to the Reptile Rescue, which is a new rescue organization that's actually here in Lake Forest. And so they went there on January 24th, and you can see by the picture in the rec report, that not only did they go and visit, they also had a hands-on experience, because the one senior is holding that very large python that is a albino python. So they had a great time there. They really enjoyed that. The only other highlight that I have that's not shown in here, and it wouldn't be because it's not an activity that we would be tracking, is our, and it's in the spring leisure times, is our Dogs on Leash campaign. If you've got your spring leisure times, I don't know if you've seen that quite yet, but we're doing a positive campaign to have people have their dogs on leashes at the parks. So basically what we're going to be doing is have rec staff, when they see somebody with a dog on a leash, they're going to be giving them a little card that says, "Thank you for having your dog on a leash at the park. We appreciate you." They'll be also getting some sort of a prize. We have some cute dog bandanas that we're going to be giving out, and possibly.
What? I'm sorry. What did you say you were going to give out? Or?
Dog bandanas.
Okay.
As well as some Parks Make Life Better T-shirts and some other goodies like that. So we're trying to do a positive campaign versus a let's give you a ticket campaign, and hopefully that we get some feedback from that. And the models for the Dogs on Leash campaign were Bear Blethyn and Scarlett Lysak. So thank you very much. That's my update for you. If you have any questions, I'd be very happy to answer those for you.
I got a couple, since everybody's silent tonight, saying I've never met a microphone I didn't like. So, and I agree, the positive approach is a lot better than the negative of, here's a ticket, thank you. Even though in the Vintage Park area there'd be some good prospects.
Yeah.
Unless the dog's intelligent and knows friendly dogs and things like that. But, and I know, again, it always comes down to something called budget. And what can you, spend to do things. But take this campaign and saying, you give them the bandana, you give them the T-shirt, you give them something. Buy a roll of tickets that they get one and the other can go in a pot. And then, and I'm not saying anything huge, but at the end of the period, and you kind of publicize it, there's, a little drawing for something, and I can guarantee you, if it's like a lunch or, something, we can get those donated. If it really
we've talked about doing something like that as well, and the reason I like that also is because it keeps people involved in the campaign, not just for the time that they're there getting their goodie.
Yeah,
so,
and it in the positive way, they will spread the word as well to friends. Hey, I was walking Bear or Scarlet or something, and wow, you ought to take your dog out when doing, maybe they'll be around, you can get this and that. You also get entered into a raffle or something like that. There's, lots of ways to make it simple and skin the cat. And I know there's merchants in this city that would love to, because they get publicity from it too. They donate $50 worth of lunch. They get a couple $1,000s of publicity that the winners get to go to
that place,
wherever, whatever restaurant it is, or something like that. So, and I think we can do that with a lot of other campaigns as well, from a positive standpoint. You're not feeding the ducks, or or something like that. No, I'm being, I know, a little facetious in saying that, but for something like this, or some of the other, things that we do that maybe don't necessarily talk and are related totally to parks, but, and I've said it during my little spiel to the council too, this commission deals with things that affect the quality of life in Lake Forest, the things we touch, and amenities, and kind of fun things, cool things, and that. And I think we ought to take advantage of it. yeah, people like to enter contests. We have a lot of contests going, but, okay, so they get a framed calendar or something that, like you say, we can, I think, incentivize it a little bit more. So, food for thought in the future. And I think, something else that might help, I think these campaigns are great, but if possible, from, an info standpoint to the commission, you plan to do, because I thought it was very cool when I saw the little video, because I look at things like the website and the patch daily, and it was like, boy, because I had this idea when I saw it, I said, I wish would have known this before it kicked off, to suggest it.
Okay.
And, I'll even help in the effort. It's not just I want to sit there and make suggestions, do this, do that, but I'll put the walking shoes on and go out and talk to people in town that I know and say, hey, we're doing this thing. It's neat. We want your help.
Well, thank you for the offer.
And
we'll keep that in mind moving forward.
Yeah, and just, again, some advance notice and maybe, some other ideas that we can throw in the mix and at least help with something like that.
Great, thank you.
Okay. The only other question I had with the recreation report, I understand in December why skate park attendance is down, because it's a holiday season and things like that. January, is it the rain mainly? I knew it rained.
Yeah.
Because I knew I didn't pay my gardener in January because he didn't show up. It rained every week.
You'll see the rain days are notated by the little shower cloud.
Okay.
On page 7.
Yeah, I saw that, and that's kind of what I figured. I just wanted to ask to make sure that I was kind of interpreting it right. So, okay, thanks. And as always, lots of good stuff going on. So. All right. Scott, any?
I do. I have a director's report. I'd like to provide the commission with an update on Village Pond Park, because I do have some very good news. The good news in a nutshell is that the project is moving forward. You may remember that we bid this in late last year. We had issues with 5 of the 6 bids. There were significant errors with them. We threw the bids out. We rebid the project. And we just opened the bids on Valentine's Day, February 14th. And we expect to award a construction contract at the first meeting in March. And the good news about all this, besides just that we're moving forward, is that the bids came in a little bit lower than the last group of bids, which is what we would expect, because the first time everybody saw what everybody else bid. So these were a little bit lower. And it's actually really close to the budget, which is obviously a good thing. The first thing that the contractor would do when the contract is awarded, they're going to fence off the park, and they're going to start draining the pond. As they start draining the pond, we have a wildlife biologist who's working directly for the city. What they do essentially is they oversee the relocation of the animals. They're licensed, they're certified to do that. They work with the State Department of Wildlife to do that. And what they did today, I don't know if anyone drove by, it was around noon, but they were actually seining the lake, which just means they were out there, they had a boat, they had a few people out there. They cast some, they don't do that. They cast a big net out and they see what they can pull in the inventory of the fish and the aquatic species. The reason they did this is that the Department of Fish and Wildlife, instead of just issuing instructions on how to drain the lake and what to do with the animals, they said, we don't really know what to tell you until you've seen the lake and you tell us what's in there. So they spent about an hour and a half doing this, and if you add up everything that they caught a total of 1 fish.
Wow.
So what happened was, we know there are fish in there. We know that there are catfish. We know that there are carp. The fish that they caught, by the way, was about that big. It was a largemouth bass, which is interesting since that is a game fish, and literally that large. That was the fish. That was the length of the fish. It's a baby fish, yeah. We know that there are fish in there. They're down low. What happens is that even though they tried to chum them using food and entice them to come up so they can catch them, once they hear the net splash, they go down. The lake is about 18 feet deep. There's some sediment down there. If you think about the shape, it's not a flat lake. If you think of the shape of sort of a canyon, the lake was built in the late 70s, and there's some debris down there. There's some debris, there's some sediment. So what I'm getting at is after about 5 or 6 attempts to throw the net from the shore, they actually then, they dragged it across the lake using a boat, and that's when they caught the one fish. So they go back to, this will not be an issue though. They're going to go back to the Department of Fish and Wildlife. She reports what she caught, and they're going to issue some directions on seining the lake. There's a good chance they won't even have to issue a permit, that they'll say, you don't need a permit, just go ahead and do it. The permit really applies mostly to the fish in there because we're not exactly sure everything that's under there. The ducks and the geese, basically, the wild ones are going to get up and fly away. The ones that don't get up and fly away, the domestic population that has known no other home in their whole lifespan, those are the ones, they'll probably capture them, and they either rehabilitate them and they'll be adopted out. They go to ranches, they go to people's homes, they go places where people are happy to accept them. They live a very happy life. The lake, you've also seen, the lake is overflowing from the last rain. The reason for that, it used to be, if you walked out to the lake, there was a grate there, and when the water rose to a certain level, it would leave through the grate, and that was through the storm drain. We've been told that we can no longer do that. That storm drain was built in the 80s when there were different water quality laws. It's no longer within compliance, so we're not allowed to let the water drain through there as we have for the last couple decades. So after the last rain, Public Works blocked off the grate as they were instructed to do by the State Water Quality Board. Consequently, the lake has grown quite a bit. It's going to probably grow a little bit more after this weekend. We did have some inquiries. We looked into the need to move forward faster and close the park and try to drain the lake faster. And after a lot of discussion a few times, we opted not to do that. That should be around the corner once we award the contract. That's about it. I mean, that's the update. Essentially, it sort of begs the question, what happens when the lake is reopened? How do you prevent people from feeding the ducks and from all the animals from coming back? I think there's going to be some stepped-up enforcement when the lake reopens. That will be, incidentally, probably in early 2018 is when we're expecting the lake to be finished, the entire park, rather. There's also going to be a wildlife management plan that's probably going to be run by someone like a company like Aquabio. It's a licensed, certified wildlife biologist who can tell us what we need to do to track the animals. How do we keep them away? What are some strategies that we can use to do that? I think that concludes my update, unless there are any questions.
Just kind of when you talked about the drainage of the water, how recently did we just kind of dump it in the storm drain?
This was the last rain. I want to say it was probably early January, the last big rain.
That we actually...
Not the last. The last one actually made it overflow. So I believe it was in December. It was probably December where that's the last time we let it go. What happened was when it goes through the storm drain, it ends out in the creek.
Oh, yeah.
And as part of the lake maintenance, the Homeowners Association maintains the lake per contractual agreement. And part of maintaining the lake is that they add blue dye into the lake. And what that does is it reduces the algae blooms.
Yeah.
It makes it more difficult for photosynthesis to take place, and it reduces the algae bloom. So there were calls that the State Water Board got from people saying, why is there blue dye in the creek? And of course, they traced it back to the lake. And inadvertently, we weren't aware that we were no longer able to do that. So we've been told now, we've been put on notice, and that's why we stopped doing that. When they drain the lake, it gets drained through the sanitary sewer. That's a permit from the El Toro Water District.
Yes.
And it will be drained over a period, not all at once, it's over a period of days. That's really to allow Aquabio, as the lake goes down, makes it easier to capture the animals.
I mean, what you're saying is that the State Water Quality Control Board, mouthful, didn't do anything beyond saying, hey, you can't do that?
That's correct.
Wow.
There were no penalties, right.
We're lucky.
We're lucky. Well,
Right.
we're probably lucky, and I think you remember the facility was built in the late 70s.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, so that's been going on for years.
When they
yeah.
deal now in the past number of years with stuff, they have brought, just something I'm familiar with, in Northern California, they brought a combination of NASA, Google, and the Defense Logistics Agency, literally all three of them to their knees, as far as how a project will be done because of similar type things. I am really surprised that we, whoever the entities are, didn't know that you couldn't do that, because that's been kind of a no-no for years.
Well, I can't answer for public.
No, I'm
works.
no,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
not. I'm not saying. I figured that's
Yeah.
who would normally take care of it, but that would be something that you would think that would be on the forefront of their knowledge.
They've
or-
apparently allowed it for decades.
Must have been busy
and
with
so
other
they
things,
decided
yeah.
they decided that they're no longer going to allow that.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, let's say we're lucky.
Right.
Better be lucky sometimes than
Yeah.
whatever. So
Right.
good. Well, that sounds good. I mean, I think we're, it's a major thing to do and major project. Hopefully, some of the retardants to the animal issues will be, as what we all heard, or some of us here heard, a while back, that the amenities or the reconstruction of the park will have an effect on doing that too, that it's not going to be that duck-friendly. And
That's exactly right. A lot of the design, the banks are now raised about 18 inches above the water, making it more difficult for waterfowl to get in and out. There are also boulders and shrubs placed around the shore, which make it a little bit less hospitable. The birds are less inclined to nest there because they're concerned that they can't see natural predators. So it'll still be a beautiful park. I think what we need to watch out for in the coming years, you have decades of migratory patterns of birds coming back and finding this lake. That's going to be difficult to stop with wild birds, but I think that's why we're going to have Aquabio come up with an actual wildlife management plan to tell us what we need to look for and how we can mitigate that.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our own comments start with Victor tonight.
Thank you. The good news is the weather has been excellent up till today, or tomorrow is another story. But this is our busy season working with the various school districts at Heritage Hill Park. This has been going on for a number of years. We have a very specialized historical program called Hands-On, which I've been involved with and actually conduct many of the tours, from a number of school districts that have sent school buses, and we've been averaging 60 children a day. So when you think about it, we're kind of a miniature city parks and recreation operation, all volunteer driven, no paid staff. And we kind of have been doing this for a number of years successfully, although we're being stretched this year because word gets out. And we're supporting districts all the way through Irvine into mid-Orange County and further south. And in the next couple weeks, we'll be running pretty close to 200 children a week. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, and we don't charge for that. Those services, other than a nominal $2 student fee for the county, but essentially we carry the load on the volunteer side. So those programs will continue into the school year ending in June, late May, and it breaks for the summer. For those commissioners who just joined us, if you'd like to have a private tour of the historical park, I'm happy to offer that to you at a time of your choosing. Tuesday through Sunday is when the park is open. So if you like, I can arrange, I'll conduct a tour for you and your guests, if you so choose. It'll take about an hour and a half. So you can let me know at your convenience what time, whether it be during the week, probably a weekend. The weekend would be Saturdays, either late morning or early afternoon. One event coming up in March that I typically like to attend, and I think a couple of the commissioners have also attended in the past, is St. Patrick's Day, March 16th. I believe that's the date. Am I correct? It's the senior lunch. I'd like to ask our commissioners if they're available for lunch to join us as a group, because that's a premier event, and I think both Loretta and Jim can talk to it. It's not only a fun event, but it's well attended. So if you can check your calendars on that for a 12 o'clock noon lunch, and I believe, well, I know we all work, but if you can get away, please let Carol know, because I think this is a reservation-based event, if I'm not mistaken. So I would like to have us put our reservation in, if you can make it. Just a brief, you're not obligated, but does it sound like most, if not all of us, can make that, based on what you know your calendar looks like right now, for the most part? Can I? You're a no? Okay. Oh, goes to work. Okay, well, let's do our best. And I know how difficult it is to work your calendar, because we all work. Even Jim works, from what I understand. So. Very hard. I'm not quite sure what exactly he does, but no comment. That's all right. In the month of April, there's and I'm not sure of the date. I had down April 27th for the awards, senior awards. Does that sound right? That is an event that I feel strongly about, that all of us should be there for it. And that is also a noon event. But the way I handle it, and each of you decide how you best handle it, I just take a vacation time to do it. And I realize you're starting a new position, so you're not in that position. So, but I like to ask if we all can really make that April 27th date, because I think that's a premier once-a-year session on that coming up. I have a question on pickleball, which I wanted to see if you were prepared to respond. There was a comment made, is any of the tennis courts, and I think we have a few on some of the parks, they were talking about retrofitting dual use of some of those courts. Is that something that makes sense, or is that possible?
It may make sense in the future. I think what we're doing, as we do it in Lake Forest, what we usually do is we start incrementally. So we're starting with the first demonstration. Sounds like we have a pretty loyal following. We have good registration. See how many folks participate in that. We have the courts that we're building up at Portola Park. We could, in the future, look at converting tennis courts. Before I do that, or I guess as part of doing that, there's a process where I think we need to reach out to tennis players.
Okay. Yeah, kind of makes sense.
And the community around the parks. I mean, I think there are about nine tennis courts in town. Is that about right?
Is it about, I was going to ask this, there is 9?
Yeah.
Are they on a reservation, or first come, first serve? Or?
First come, first serve. No pun intended.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, very good. I really walked into that one, I think. Oh, jeez. Okay. Well, thank you for your comments. Oh, I want to thank the group. It's a pleasure to serve as vice chair for this coming year, working with Loretta. So thank you very much for your support. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, just 2 quick comments. Went to Snowfest, thought it was amazing. I was like blown away with the Star Wars characters and the Frozen characters. I was talking with Dwight, and Olaf came out, and I had to shut him up because I was like, oh my god, it's Olaf. So he was a little shocked, but I was like, you should know me better. And then I just wanted to thank Scott for the tour that we went to of the 3 parks. I actually found it insightful to see how few people wanted improvements made to their parks. I thought that was really interesting. I never would have thought I would encounter something like that. So just thank you. It's always interesting to get perspective from the public.
I actually have a couple questions too, and one regarding pickleball. What is the demographic that you're targeting?
Currently, we're targeting anybody.
Okay, so no.
The interest that we have the Millers, we have John Zuko, we have their group, and that's pretty much the following that we have. But I know that there's other people that are out there. We're just willing to take anybody at this point and have those people that are interested, really make it important so that we do reach, more people than just the people that have been contacting us. So I think by the demo that we'll really get a good idea of who's out there and who's interested in what the calling is for it. So, yeah.
Okay, and then my other question, I'm not sure who's posting on the Facebook stuff, because I do follow that, but I did notice a comment when there was something about there's updates that are posted on the different parks, and the committees, groups getting together to recommend improvements, and there was a question about Heroes Park that came up, why that wasn't on the list, and if anybody had responded to them.
I'd have to look at specifically why it's not on the list. I'm not sure if it was done in the last.
Heroes Park?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't part of our original plan that we did some years ago, but we did do a renovation there by adding the snack bar and concession stand. That's part of a flood basin, so it's really difficult to do work there. It's not like one of our normal city parks to be able to go in and do work at. It's a good thing to look at, though. I mean, it hasn't been touched other than putting in that snack bar. So we'll have to look at that, because I look at that and I don't remember seeing that particular one, but I'll look for that. Yeah,
I don't remember which one it was on, but I did notice that. And then, is there somebody that usually responds, or somebody from the?
Yes, there is. Our PIO,
okay,
which is out of, I think she's out of the clerk's department now. Okay. She responds to those, but she responds to those after conversations with us if there's a questionable scenario from the question. Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to understand that better.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. That's all I had.
Kind of piggyback on that, I think not only is it a flood basin, which probably Saturday morning should be high enough you can bring a small boat into the park itself, and the basic utilization of it is I mean, for many years it was our sports park. That was it. And as far as doing, again, a lot of amenities to it, or putting in a lot of things, you're going to cut, I think, on the space of what it's intended to be used for. But I think it's a park that's very well maintained on an ongoing basis, because it's constantly being used, and getting heavy usage. So, but again, it's understandable. Somebody might live close to there and want to use it for other things, or sees that opportunity. But and I think also key thing, we haven't had the rains like we've had now in years. I mean, there's been no water in that park for a good 5 years. I remember seeing times when it was literally as high as this dais is in parts of it, and it's like, we take a boat out there, go row. Just again, some kind of personal comments of Snowfest. Again, was great. It's a stellar event. It's one that I think we've become known as. I like Monique's kind of bragging rights thing, that we had 5 more tons of snow than they did, and it is a good event. I guess a question I had heard, and I can't remember who it was on staff, that had mentioned that one of the sessions or something we didn't sell out, or there were some 2 sessions we didn't, something like that.
We didn't pre-sell out of it, but actually day of we ended up selling.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Usually we sold out of every single
on a
session prior, but we had all those rains during the week of resale.
That makes
so we
sense.
sold everything day of.
Because it'd be, from seeing the crowd that was there, it would be hard to believe that there were that many looky-loos as opposed to participants.
There were actually, I think, a couple of other local events on the same day, which probably pulled some folk,
Yeah.
which is fine. It probably people from out of town that might have come to ours went to something different, which is
Right.
better experience for our residents.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean,
Yeah.
it was well attended. People had a good time. You know, lots of overall good comments, and which goes with pretty much what we do. Having gone through the 8-year ago park renovation, and now kind of going through this one. It's personal opinion. I'll leave it and just make that disclaimer right up front. It's different. It just seems very different in a lot of ways as far as the input and feedback maybe from the, quote, public. I think it, overall, it, you know, and there's nothing wrong with it. Everybody should have and is entitled to their opinion. But it is more of groups of longer time residents in the area. It seems like more of an age demographic that typically does not have younger children. And, you know, I mean, certain areas, that demographic just, you know, isn't there. But in most of Lake Forest, there are kids, and kids who could use a park, and this element just seems to want to kind of keep them away, and we don't want to do anything. One of the members of the public made a comment of, we don't want to attract anybody to the park. Well, that's not the purpose. You know, I mean, you can sit there and Monday morning quarterback it. That's not the purpose of having a park, to sit there and not be used, and that you're paying for maintenance. Nobody gets any enjoyment out of it, and if you don't maintain it, then you'll get the complaints and things like that. So, you know, it's my hope when staff and other people have the more intimate discussions with the Landscape Architects, BMLA, that somehow that may be somewhat conveyed to them as just don't take the yellow dots that appeared on the flip charts and design the improvement of the park according. And I think there's other issues, as you can see, especially now when it rains, that there's areas where some leveling of the land would be good, that you don't have puddles and lakes and other things that really are never discussed during any of those things. So it's kind of interesting when they come back. And I guess my question is there then is there wiggle room at that time still?
There actually is. So it's a really lengthy process, which means before things are actually built, it's going to be probably a couple of years. So if you remember, we took...
No, I know. And
yeah,
the other
so,
one was that way too.
So essentially what happens is the consultant will bring a report to us. It'll have a cost estimate. It will have conceptual sketches of this is what people told us for each of the parks. Here are some sketches. Here are some ideas of how we can accomplish certain things that people ask for. There's another round of meetings that takes place where we'll meet with, basically at each park, instead of grouping them together. We go back to each park. We take those drawings. We say, this is what you told us. Is this accurate? Is this still what you want? Just to make really sure that we're being responsive to the community's desires. And then what happens after that is that we have a consultant. It may be BMLA, it may be another one, but you have a consultant design everything. Actually, let me back up. They develop the conceptual designs. They bring that to the commission. You get some input. Then it goes to the city council.
Right, yeah.
And then we have someone do really the final designs, actually to build things. What we did with the last round of parks, I wasn't here, but you probably aware, because they were the largest parks and there were so many large-scale renovations, we split those into several groups of parks, and it seemed like we were always building something over a period of years. These are 10 smaller parks. Some of them, there's really not much to the renovations that people are requesting. So this will move a little faster. And what I'm getting at is we may have one designer design everything, or we may have two designers split everything and take Group A parks. These are done. Let's get them through the commission and council. Let's do the final design. Let's bid them out and start working. Right, followed by Group B. It really depends on the scope of the final renovations that we're looking at.
Because I guess my concern is we go back. He takes the orange dots, designs something based on what has been input by a very, very small percentage of people in total, and in the cases of some of the parks, I would say a good half of them so far, nobody there from that neighborhood, and kind of design something accordingly. And people are basically busy and they're apathetic, and you can couple all of that together. And if it then, okay, it's budget, it does that, we do it and build it, then they come out of the woodwork, hey, gee, if we'd only known, we have kids, we have this, and, you put in a water fountain and that, or you didn't do anything else. And, I'm hoping there's, again, a little bit of maybe common sense wiggle room, or a little bit of, because we should be able to know some of the demographics of age brackets in different parts of the city, which is not too hard to find. Because if, you drive up and you see kids playing on the street, and you have two residents telling you that they've lived there for 38 and 41 years, and there are no children at all. There's there haven't been kids around here, and it's like, well, maybe you should go to have your eyes checked or whatever, because they were walking on the street, and we don't necessarily, it's okay what we have, when you could do things that might even improve their enjoyment of the facility. It doesn't have to be turned into a Disneyland, but so I'm just hoping that opportunity is there for a little bit of wiggle room, that it's not just taken for granted, but that we as the city do our homework and look at really what lives in that neighborhood. And on that same kind of vein, and it's something, Scott, that you shared with me that I wasn't really aware of. I think, first of all, the advertising we've done for it this time is great. Putting those banners up is really, really a good thing, because it becomes visible, especially in view of what you shared with me, that we only mailed to, was it 300 feet or 500 feet?
500 feet around.
500 feet, which is 10 houses?
No.
More?
Yeah, the mailers that I've been sending out, for each 3 parks, there's probably within 500 houses for each park.
But that's not 500.
I've sent thousands of mailers.
No, okay, I'm glad to hear it, because
Yeah.
I was thinking 500 feet, that's not that much distance.
No.
That's, 300 feet's a football field. So it's like, within 2 football fields, that's really close. So I don't know if that's something, you probably have statistics that could be improved, or could, is it a matter of budget? Is it a kind of a thing? We've done it for a lot of years, and I know you've done a lot of social media this time, and I can't fault it. It's just sad to see that the turnout is so low. I don't have a solution. I've just got questions of how do you get people involved, really.
Can I make a comment to that,
Please.
too? One of the things that I recommend, I've seen these meetings, and they're on the weekends. For us that have children that are very active, I haven't made any of the park meetings, obviously, because my daughter's in soccer. and now we're getting ready for National Cup, which is going to eat up our Saturdays and our Sundays, both days. So for the demographics that do have children, that in Little League is going to be starting up, I know that's going to be big. It's pulling parents that have those children that would utilize the parks away on the weekends when these meetings are scheduled. My suggestion would be, because you are using social media and all the parents are all over Facebook, especially, that seems to be the demographic. You can do surveys on Facebook for those neighborhoods and get their input.
There's actually an online survey.
Okay, there is. Okay.
Hundreds of people have filled it out.
Okay.
We actually expect that by the time, I think they actually pull it off after the last workshop on March 4th.
6th of March, I think, is that.
March 6th?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's
But they're anticipating about 500 people will have completed that.
Because I know a lot
Yeah.
of, I see, like, just even the Foothill Ranch community page, oh my goodness, you throw something out there and you get like a million comments and that kind of thing too. So I know social media is a great way to reach that demographic.
It's
rather than these meetings on Saturdays.
Yeah, it is problematic. I think we were impacted by the weather for a couple of meetings.
That too.
And, but yeah, the survey's capturing a lot of people, and I think a lot of people feel like, at least a couple of them have told me that they felt like they don't need to show up because they've given their input online.
Correct. Well, and then they can't.
Which is okay.
A lot of them can't.
Can't, right, exactly, exactly. So
Have you looked, or staff looked at any of that online input?
we did about a month ago.
I'm just kind of curious.
Not recently, but just on a note of, Laura and I were just discussing this, that the BMLA, the person that we're working with that handles all the information coming in on the online surveys, said this is the most online surveys they've gotten in a city. It's very, very, very happy about that, because that was one of the components we were looking at specifically when we hired this firm, is that we wanted a firm that could do the online component for those particular reasons of parents who weren't able to come. And so I think while we're definitely not getting all the people we had got in the past that would come to the meetings, we're getting a different part of the population that is going on and doing those things.
I'd love to see kind of an orange dot type thing.
I think that's what they'll do when they come back and give a presentation.
From the survey versus those who attend.
Exactly. They'll do that.
Because I think it will be different.
Oh, it'll be very different. Because I think you're going to get that parent who, I can't go on a Saturday, or I'm doing schoolwork with my kid on whatever night, so I can't go on that night. So the online portion was, like I said, a huge component for us hiring this particular firm, because we knew that there would be those parents who needed that as a way to give us their feedback.
Great, because that's, I think, getting to that point of starting with what would conceivably a finished product look like. It can't just be based on this input that from an extremely small group and seemingly extremely tunnel visioned in. I'm not saying the reasons are wrong and things like that, but I think if they kind of opened up a little bit more, they themselves would get more benefit in the long run. And sorry about the rain on Saturday. So I think Laura has put in yeoman's work with this one project under sometimes adverse circumstances.
She's been working like a dog.
Yeah, no pun intended again. God, you're good. You know that?
You're full of them tonight.
Show business is calling. I know that. And Vicki, again, thank you too, and for all the things that run so smoothly, and maybe staying out of the line of fire or something. So, and with that, I am going to.
Commissioner comments, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
if you've been with me from noon to 2, you know why I'm discombobulated. I'm sorry, Loretta.
No, that's
Thank
okay.
you.
It's fine.
Thank you, Victor. Appreciate the help too.
Okay, anyway. Parade meeting went great. We're looking forward to some changes, good changes coming forward, so that's good. I attended the Senior Scene webinar today. I think that was their first. Yes, I think it went well. I really do. People paid attention and stuff. And then I think I'm the only one going to CPRS.
Oh, wait a minute. When
You
you
are.
say the only one,
Who else is going to CPRS?
Yeah.
I thought,
He's not going.
well, that's what I'm looking for.
Commissioner Porter, did we provide you with information on CPRS, the California Parks and Recreation Society?
No,
I'll get that to you tomorrow. I'm very sorry about that.
that's okay.
Anyway, so I'm looking forward to the conference, and of course I'll attend everything and anything I can for our city. So there you go. It's the end of the month. Yeah, okay. Anyway,
We
that's
do have staff that are going as well. So
We do?
Yeah.
Who?
We hit Nick Gates is going,
Oh.
Bill Barry is going, and so is Scott Stewart.
Really?
And actually, so this will be Scott's first
Conference?
time going. So
Oh, that's so nice. I'll look for them then.
right, yeah. So those three are going to be in attendance.
Oh, he wants me to keep an eye on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay, you got it.
That's a first, because I think budget-wise, we didn't have that many people go to the last few.
Last year we didn't have we didn't have. It was the year before though that we did not. Our budget was cut.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
And it's, every other year it's held
Yeah.
in Long
Right.
Beach, which is cheap. And then when we have to go up north, it's a little more expensive because there are hotel rooms and flights involved.
Well, this is the national one we're talking
No,
about?
no,
Or
no.
we're talking
California.
about
California. Yeah.
That's
so,
being held up north.
Yeah, Sacramento.
Yeah, I've been to that one a couple of years back.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to going, and I'll be with my California commissioners. Anyway, thanks. And a great job on everything, guys. Thank you.
Victor, to answer the pointed eyes on me that I saw. Originally, I was going to go, and then I took a look at the program, the educational sessions, and in my opinion, it is kind of slipping a little bit every year as far as the quality. And there were three of all the days. There were three courses or sessions of interest. I mean, I'm not going to go to how to, build a team and how to manage people. I've done that professionally for decades, and of the three classes, one of them I've already been to with the same presenters, and the other one. So it almost came out there were two classes to go to, and to put that expense out there to do that wasn't worth it. So my commitment is to go to NRPA this year, because that one
That's coming up,
in the fall, and yeah,
that's what I thought.
and I don't mind paying the beyond budget because it's a really worthwhile conference from the standpoint of speakers.
It's quite a bit out of budget
Well,
when I looked at it.
Yeah. And then the main reason I'm going to CPRS is because I'm on the California Commissioners.
That's correct, that's right.
Yeah.
You're
So we've
secretary,
got-
secretary.
I am secretary. So.
Very good.
All right.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
All right, stand adjourned.
All right. Do we need it? No.
We need a motion, I think.
So moved.